going to talk about something from his roots, from where he has grown up. There are a lot of regions in India where the development is uneven. And Ankur belongs to one of such region where there is extreme poverty and the lack of employment have resulted youths to join some insurgent groups. Jugal Bhuyan, if I'm not pronouncing it wrong, was such a youth who later became a reformer and established a school and orphanage. Ankur's speech today will be on the life of late Jugal Bhuyan. His time limit would be 5 to 7 minutes. Ankur, Rebirth. Rebirth, Ankur. Over to you, Ankur.
Life is a series of experiences. Each experience we face prepares us for the next. This is true even if that experience is negative or harsh. A few years ago, I experienced such a situation where life threw a curveball at me. But instead of shrinking away, I faced it. I emerged from it and I kept moving to the next step. Its experience unfolded like the petals of a rose, new learning for me. Friends, it is a story about how I was inspired by a rebel, a misfit, and iconoclast. It's about my involvement with the community, and it's about rejuvenation, renewal, and redemption. It was the year 2006. I was living in Austin. One day, I came across a newspaper article about Jugal Bhuyan, a young man from my home in India. He was an ex-rebel and was involved in an armed insurgent group. Eventually, he and other members of that group surrendered when they were offered amnesty. But unlike others who took government cash and favor, Jugal took the path of serving the poor and underprivileged. I was so moved by that article that I decided to pay him a visit during our next family vacation to India. But when I reached home, some of my well-wishers advised me not to go there. Unfortunately, the stigma of his past became an albatross around his neck. But I did not agree. He was someone who had redeemed, and he was doing tremendous work for the community. I chose to visit his orphanage and the residential school. There, I met those children abandoned and neglected by society, now taken care by Jugal and his staff. I witnessed firsthand the tremendous dedication of this young man. The school, situated in the countryside, was abundant with natural beauty. I was particularly enthralled when I saw a rose garden, a place tended by Jugal every day with utmost love and care. The sight of the radiant rose bloom struck me as I was handed a flower from that garden. Like the veritable rose, Jugal emerged radiant and new bloom. He learned his mistakes from the wrong choices he made. He was tortured by police, shunned by society, but he never withered. He rose from the ashes, turned his life around, and become a role model to others. After returning back to the States, I decided to promote his cause by reaching out to our community. I planned a fundraising and a campaign to raise money for his orphanage. Unfortunately, the prevailing situation was not favorable. The September 11 terror attack was still fresh in people's mind, and a few community members questioned the rationale of supporting someone who had a violent past, despite the fact that he had redeemed. I realized Jugal will not be given a second chance. I was disheartened and was soon overpowered with doubt, cynicism, and disillusion. The radiant rose within me withered and fell away. I decided to call Jugal to offer my regret and let him know that I had failed. It was a long distance call, but his voice was loud and clear. I only need your love and affection. Money does not matter much. You are talking to me. I'm so grateful to you. The conversation left me dumbfounded. This man suffered tremendously, but he never let bitterness break his spirit. He recognized the goodness in me. I just needed to find goodness in others. His words set me free, and my fundraising campaign resumed with renewed vigor. In the year 2006, I attended our community annual get-together and delivered a speech how Jugal turned his life around and how, like him, we needed to show our innate capacity for compassion and forgiveness. This time, my speech resonated with the audience, and I was assured of community support. In the year 2008, I ran the Austin Marathon and raised $5,000 for the orphanage. And in the year 2009, Chief Minister, the highest executive of my state, visited his school. And the story of the transformation of a rebel into a reformer was published in all the major newspapers. In each step, I experienced growth and blossoming. I transformed from someone who feared speaking in public into a public speaker, who struggled to run a single mile, into a marathon runner, who never wrote outside of his office, into a newspaper writer. Friends, I feel complete. We have all choices to make. The path of doubt, fear, cynicism, and the path of conviction, courage, and optimism. I learned from Jugal which path to choose. Life is not easy. Life is going to throw you a curveball. What matters is which path is you choose to take. Friends, choose the path of greatness. Reach your full potential. Be a radiant rose. Mr. Toastmaster.
Wonderful, Ankur. That was a great speech. We have another great speaker.